I want to be a pirate queen. I want to be a vet for horses, said my mother, who was currently in the horse phase, which is an important part of growing up. I myself have gone through the horse phase, meaning that I am definitely a normal girl. That's nice, said Lee politely. She had not gone and would never go through the horse phase because she was out of the ordinary. My mother understood this right away. She stood leaning against the frame of the swing and looked at Lee, at the rhinestone sunglasses, at the red high-heeled shoes, at the tutu, at her long, flowing blonde hair, at her eyes, which were a pale, pale blue. And as she looked, she began to feel like she really was in the presence of a queen, perhaps even a pirate queen. "Hey," my mother said. "Do you want to come to my birthday party? I invited everyone in my class at school." "Sure," said Lee. "Sure, I'll come to your party, Sarah." She was the only one who did. "Where are all the kids from your class?" she asked as she came into my mother's backyard, which had been festooned with cheap streamers and wilting balloons. My mother was sitting on her back porch steps, a ridiculous cone-shaped party hat on her head, feeling terribly ashamed of her empty party. When she told me this part, I could feel her embarrassment in my own chest, heavy and pressing down toward my stomach. There had been parties like that for me, too. "They didn't come," muttered my mother, and wiped her nose on the back of her hand. "Well, I came," said Lee, handing my mother a present wrapped in pink, sparkly paper. "Go on, open it." I always imagined the pink paper unfolding and falling away as though I were opening it with my own hands. Lee had given my mother toy horses, a set of 4 of them, matching mothers and foals, 1 pair of palominos and 1 pair of bays. "Do you like them?" asked Lee eagerly. "I love them," my mother said. The horses were flocked and soft. I knew because the first time that my mother had ever told me the story, she had taken the horses down from where she kept them on her dresser and let me touch them. "I thought you would," said Lee. "Let's play the party games now." She and my mother played egg and spoon race, pin the tail on the donkey, and scavenger hunt. They beat the piñata into a rainbow assortment of torn pieces. They had 2 pieces of birthday cake each, and they divided the contents of all the unclaimed goodie bags between themselves. They made a fort out of 2 lawn chairs and an old sheet, and carried all the candy from the piñata into it, where they devoured it in secret. My mother said it hadn't mattered that there were only the 2 of them, with no other guests around. Whenever my mother described it, she made it sound like the best party there ever was. I imagined it in extra saturated color, a rainbow bursting out from a backdrop of muted vintage tones. It was during this party that Lee, as her little fingers unfolded the comic wrapper from a piece of bazooka gum, had asked my mother to be her best friend. "Really?" my mother asked. "Well, don't you want to?" Lee's eyes were large. "Of course," my mother said. They had both laughed. When I was really little, I used to like this part. It was the beginning of a lifelong friendship, the end of my mother's childhood loneliness, a good thing, I always thought. But there would come a time when I was older that I wondered how differently my life would have turned out if Lee had never been on the swing that day, if she had not been the sole guest at my mother's party, and I wished sometimes, in a dark place in the back of my head, that my mother's answer to Lee's offer of friendship had not been a happy agreement. Lee had instructed my mother to run inside and get a pin, saying eagerly, "We have to become blood sisters." And my mother dutifully went into her house and brought out a pin. Lee took it from her with the utmost ceremony and stabbed her thumb, squeezing it to bring the blood to the surface before handing the pin back to my mother, who bit her lip nervously. She used to feel the same way about blood as I do, beyond queasy. "Go on," urged Lee. "You can do it. It doesn't hurt that bad." My mother pricked her thumb, and when a little drop